Yo, what's going on, guys? Glade here. Today, I'm going to be analyzing 5 Pokemon that are really good in this VGC meta right now in Regulation C. If you guys are excited for this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe. We're going to get right into it. But before we do, I need to comment down below, what do you think of the background? I thought this was really sick. I saw Golden Go and I was about to say Kanye because I'm not on this shit, but I saw Drake. I was like, hell, I gotta go for that. This is hype. This is really hype. I don't know where I got this background. I think I got off like Twitter or some shit, but man, it just slaps. But I've been trying to get back into VGC for a little bit, and I've been looking at the regional results. So I've been looking at Hartford regionals and Malmo regionals, and I was analyzing the Pokemon that I think are going to be good going forward, and that the more niche picks, but you're starting to see a little bit more of them. So I kind of wanted to talk today about 5 Pokemon that I think are going to be pretty relevant. Pretty relevant in the meta going forward, but still kind of niche. Also, my capture card is here, so I should be able to start streaming probably in like early June, so that should be really hype. But anyways, let's get into it. So I'm just gonna kind of go through, create a new team and go through some of the top 5 Mons that I think are going to be really good. This is in no particular order, but if you guys enjoy kind of more analytical content like this, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn those notifications on because I will be uploading more content. But I was going through this list, and this is in no particular order. These are just mons that I think are going to be really good going forward as we're heading into, I think there's 1 or 2 more regionals before NAIC, so potentially this list could be informative for you if you're going to those other regionals and then going forward into NAIC. Although NAIC, I think the meta is going to change quite a bit before we get there, because naturally it's going to be one of the largest tournaments. Actually, it's going to be the largest tournament of all time, so people are really going to start innovating and whatnot, and the meta is really going to change. But first thing I want to start off on this list is we're actually going to look at Iron Hands. Iron Hands is actually popping up quite a bit. Now, if you look at the Hartford regional stats, Iron Hands really popped up. Like, Iron Hands was not used in a lot of tournaments, but now you see 6 out of the top 8 teams have Iron Hands, 75% usage, which is the same as Fluttermane. So Iron Hands has the same usage as Fluttermane in the top 8, which is actually kind of crazy to think about because Iron Hands has been pretty underrated in the meta right now. You don't see a whole lot of it. And I mean, it makes sense because Fluttermane was everywhere. I mean, Fluttermane still is everywhere. And in order to use Iron Hands effectively, you have to Terra against Fluttermane for the most part, unless you want to take like 70% from a Dazzling Gleam. And Moonblast probably still bops your shit, even if you're AV. But a lot of people obviously are running the AV set right now. I don't really know what changed in the meta to make Iron Hands really good, but I think people realized, well, if you just Terra, you deal with Fluttermane effectively. Because Fluttermane always runs Fairy Terra. And what you can do is you can Terra Fire. So people like to run Terra Fire on Iron Hands. So all you do is Terra Fire, and then you can just launch up a Heavy Slam. And Heavy Slam pretty much always one-shots. Actually, it always one-shots Fluttermane. I don't have the calc pulled up, but, we can calc it right now. I have a Golden Go calc pulled up, but we can calc Iron Hands right now. Because Iron Hands should absolutely demolish Fluttermane with a... Okay, we do have Fluttermane already pulled up, and it has the HP investment. And we'll just go, like, I don't know how much bulk they run, but we're going to go... Let's go, like, let's go 92. I know Fluttermane tend to be a little bit bulky, and we'll just put a Heavy Slam on here. And this is full attack, so we'll probably put a little bit less in attack. But you see Heavy Slam from full attack, Iron Hands is doing 145% minimum to even bulk your Fluttermane. And so, obviously, you might not be full attack just because you might be, like, plus 84 attack. So let's just do it even 84 attack. 84 attack, you're still one-shotting. So it's a guaranteed OHKO on Fluttermane. So you're always carrying Fluttermane, the biggest threat in the meta right now. And you're going to be taking you're not going to be taking much damage because you slap an AV on this guy is insanely bulky. I mean, if you've played Regulation B, you slap an AV on here, this shit does not die. So Heavy Slam is automatically a great counter into Fluttermane, and then you look at stuff like Chi-Yu. Now, you are going to be taking a decent bit of damage from Chi-Yu, but you can always Terra Fire, resist the Heat Wave. And the only issue with Chi-Yu is that if they predict you to Terra Fire, they can Terra Blast Water, which kind of is annoying, but you're AV, so you should tank it anyways, and you can hit back with, basically, like, the thing about Chi-Yu is, alright, well, okay, if they don't Terra, you one-shot them with Drain Punch, because Chi-Yu doesn't have good physical defense, so you one-shot Chi-Yu, one of the best Pokemon out there. Oh, they have Chien-Pao? Alright, I'm just gonna deal with it, my Iron Hands. Iron Hands destroys a lot of stuff in this metagame, and the stuff it doesn't technically destroy, you can just Terra and power through anyways, so that's the reason why Iron Hands has been blowing up really. Honestly, it's been absolutely insane. And I kind of expect Iron Hands to stay pretty relevant. I don't know if it'll be relevant going into maybe like NAIC, but I think we have Fresno and is it Indianapolis and Milwaukee regionals? I forget what other regionals we have. But I expect it to stay relevant going into like those regionals just because people are now realizing, oh, this mon is insanely good right now because all you do is Terra. I mean, let's look at Wolfgluck set, right? Wolfgluck set, there's gonna be Terra Grass. So this is interesting because it's a little bit different, and that's what I like about Iron Hands. It has a variety of different sets that you can use with Sword Stance, Drain Punch, Thunder Punch. You can use the Sword Stance set. Personally, in my opinion, I think the best set is going to be the Assault Vest set, specifically because if you look at this team, I mean, the team doesn't exactly deal with Flutter Mane the best. I mean, it doesn't have any Mons straight up KO Flutter Mane except Ting Lu. So I guess if you have Ting Lu, it's like, okay, well, I can Terra Ting Lu and then one shot the Flutter Mane. So it's like, okay, if you want to do that, go for it. But I think the best set is going to be the AV set. But if you do have ways to deal with Flutter Mane, you can certainly go the Sword Stance set if you have the proper support with like the Gyarados with the Amoonguss and whatnot. Because still, Sword Stance, and I mean, you haven't seen it recently, but it just powers through so many things. So the next mon, I have actually just pulled up on my side laptop. The next mon I do want to talk about, and you have not seen this mon in a lot of time, and really a lot of people have kind of strayed away from it. It's Maushold. Now, Maushold is a Pokemon where this thing mostly, I mean, yeah, it can run Pop Bomb, but a lot of it run the Friend Guard support. But what I kind of am intrigued to see is, I remember I faced and I saw, I think on stream, a Maushold with Technician. Now, I kind of forgot how much damage this thing does, so I pulled up a real quick calc here. So this is a 10-hit max attack Technician into Iron Bundle. Now, Iron Bundle, good defense stat. It's a pretty bulky mon. It's a decently bulky mon physically. And Pop Bomb does a 122 minimum with 10 hits. So, you know, you run Wide Lens, assuming that you land all your moves, which you're running Wide Lens, so you probably should. You absolutely decimate anything. Iron Bundle gets destroyed. You go into Chi-Yu at level 50. Chi-Yu gets absolutely blown back, 169 minimum. Okay, you even go like stuff like Arcanine, which Arcanine's a bit more of a bulky Pokemon. Okay, that is pretty physically defensive Arcanine, so we are going to... Arcanine are especially defensive, so we're just gonna go like Careful Nature and give it like 44 HP. 40. So even like max HP 44 defense Arcanine, you're doing a 106 minimum to. Literally, this thing shits on everything. It destroys every single mon in the meta. The only issue is that you're not hitting ghost types like Golden Go and Flutter Mane. But honestly, let's say, I mean, if as long as you have a partner to deal with those Pokemon, you're pretty much okay. And also, if you can condition the Flutter Mane into tearing and like switching out the Maushold and then you bring it back in late game, then you just Pop Bomb and instantly one-shot it. I mean, if we look at Flutter Mane and we just like no bulk on Flutter Mane and we give a Terra Fairy and we go level 50, Pop Bomb is doing a 230% minimum. And so immediately, even if like, let's say for some godforsaken reason, they're 252 bold, you are doing probably like 180 minimum. Oh, actually it changes things a lot. What the heck? All right, you're doing 117 minimum, but even still, 117 to the bulkiest Flutter Mane possible, it's a guaranteed OHKO. So you were just OHKOing everything with Maushold. And I feel like people are not going to respect it, especially if we're seeing the meta game switch to a more. The meta game went from being pretty hyper offensive with stuff like Chien-Pao, Dragonite, Flutter Mane hyper offense, and especially when Joe won Portland regionals and we saw the Sun offense, but now. Sun offense isn't, you're not seeing it as much. I mean, next time we see Sun, I mean, Joshua Lorcy at 11th place is the first time we see Sun offense. And honestly, yeah, that's really it. And there's not too much Sun offense. And we do see a couple Talonflames. And we see Siddharth, actually. I think Siddharth, this is a Super Fang Maushold. I think it's good support for the team. What I'm really interested to see is I think there's going to be an offensive Maushold that's going to absolutely just destroy the meta. And people are not prepared for it. When the meta gets bulkier and when it gets slower, if someone pulls out a Technician Maushold with Wide Lens, you're going to absolutely give the competition. I mean, I'll just put it in for here, but really all you need to know is, okay, it's going to Pop Bomb and it's going to have max attack and you're just going to destroy everything. Also, one thing to know, you do need to run Timid just so you can outspeed base 100s, or excuse me, Jolly. So you can outspeed base 100s. But still, 127 attack is absolutely huge, and you're still one-shotting. Like, you saw the couch, you're one-shotting a lot of the metagame. So I do expect to see if the meta gets bulkier. Let's say the meta goes more offensive, you might see a bit of mouse hold. But if the metagame gets bulkier, immediately you're going to see mouse hold. I think mouse hold is going to be really good, and honestly, I'm taking it into consideration now that I'm making this video, just because it blows through so much of the metagame. Next one I want to talk about is yes, here we go, Azumarill. So Azumarill, we did see Azumarill get second at Hartford Regionals under Ryan Hag or Botchkiss. Azumarill then did not make an appearance until, oh, no Azumarill people. Until Colin Ayers team at 29th. But I really think Azumarill is one of those picks where like it's not thought about a lot, but I have it on my team currently because I think it is so underrated in the meta right now. Because number one, it's a good Chi-Yu counter. You deal with so much of the meta. It has such a great defensive typing. It has really good bulk to it, and obviously access to huge power. It means you don't have to invest a lot into attack for it to kill stuff. Like literally all you need, I think this is the spread I use, all I need is, I don't know why it's 0 attack, but all you need is 116 adamant. Just pretty much start OHKOing stuff if it's not as bulky. But if you're really concerned about OHKOing stuff, you can go 164 or 172. 172 works wonders. You always want to go max HP, and the rest you probably want to put in Spadef, because what I found out about this Pokemon is obviously the meta right now, or the meta maybe like a week or two ago, was pretty specially oriented. And the thing with Azumarill is it's bulky, especially with the Citrus Berry. But even with the Citrus Berry, against pretty offensive special attackers, you might not be able to take 2 of their hits even when the Citrus Berry procs. But adding that extra Spadef on there, you might want to add more Spadef depending on the case. Like you could go like 204, you could go like 132 depending on what you want to do. But the more Spadef is always good, because then that allows you to take 2 hits. I forget the specific calcs, but like against like Flutter, or not Flutter Mane Moonblast, but like Iron Bundle Freeze Dries, depending on your spread, you might be able to take 2. That's probably incorrect, but there's a couple calcs in which running Spadef allows you to live hits from very offensive Pokemon in which it wouldn't otherwise. So that is why you run Spadef on Azu. But I mean, you're looking about it this way: Liquidation just hits so much in the metagame. Like you're pretty much one-shotting Chi-Yu always, and you're hitting stuff for such consistent damage. Like we go into the scene, Liquidation absolutely destroys everything. So it destroys Arcanine, just good damage to Kingambit, and at this team it doesn't really do too much, but it destroys Chi-Yu, so it destroys the fire types in the metagame, especially Chi-Yu and Arcanine. Okay, Play Rough is always there because you hit the dragons. Play Rough is also pretty much, depending on your spread, it's a guaranteed one-shot into Flutter Mane. Play Rough also just deals good damage into stuff like Pelipper, and it also hits, which is really good, it hits Iron Hand super effectively, because Azumarill's speed is 50 and Iron Hand's is 50, so as long as you run some speed investment on Azumarill, let's say like, because Iron Hands tends to go like 28 speed or something like that, so Iron Hands tends to go around like 74, so as long as you hit like 75 with Azu with like 36 speed EVs, you're going to be outspeeding Iron Hands, and you can hit them with a Play Rough to probably not one shot, but probably do like a good 70% to them. So that's why Play Rough is really good. You hit the dragons in the meta, and you hit Ting Lu. You hit basically everything super effective. You hit Iron Bundle for a shit ton of damage as well. And if you really need to, you can go Superpower. Superpower is really good just in case you're facing, you don't want to run the chance of missing Play Rough, and it also gives you an out into Kingambit if your team is pretty Kingambit weak. Or you can even go Ice Spinner if you're concerned about stuff like Amoonguss, because Amoonguss is still a Pokemon. Amoonguss will always be a good Pokemon in VGC, and so Azumarill can't, I mean, it can still deal damage to Amoonguss, but it can't really touch it all that well. But you run Ice Spinner, it's a good stab. You could also run support moves. I mean, really, if you wanted to, you can run Parasol. Like Azumarill could be on a Parasol team. You can run Icy Wind if you want, but I really think the 3 attack protect set is the way to go, and with some bulk, because really this thing hits so much in the metagame. I don't want that. Another really good Pokemon. Yeah, you can get rid of this. Let me hide that. Let me see my boy Drake with Golden Go. Heck yeah. All right, another really good Pokemon right now. Where's my list? I literally had a list comprised for this. Okay, cool. Golden Go. So Golden Go obviously got second at Hartford, and decided actually Ryan Hag, who used it, ran a Choice Specs Golden Go, which I think Choice Specs Golden Go is really dependent on the meta. Here's why. Right now, people are still using Specs Flutter Mane, and what I think is going to happen is, like, give it 1 or 2 weeks, like give it till the next regional, people are going to opt away from Specs Flutter Mane. just because more people are realizing that, okay, either booster or sash is just better. But if people are using specs fluttering, that means they're probably not going to be going max speed. They're probably going to be like modest, and they're going to be around the 188 speed tier, which means you stop a choice scarf on Golden Go, you're good to go. You don't even have to run Timid Nature. You can run modest to outspeed, and modest allows you to deal more damage, and modest allows you to deal with fluttering better because you just outspeed. You can Terra and just destroy it. Or you can run Timid and just run outspeed anyways. But I do like Choice Scarf on Golden Go. Choice Scarf Golden Go is a product of the meta right now. Still people wanting to use Choice Specs Fluttermane and Choice Specs Fluttermane still being a good option. So I do think Golden Go Choice Scarf is good right now. I just don't know. It depends on the team that you're using, but I think people are going to, if you want to use Golden Go, I wouldn't necessarily say to use Choice Scarf depending on your team. If your team lacks speed, and you don't necessarily want to go like a bulky option, but you want some speed control with Golden Go, and you're a bit Fluttermane weak, and you're just like, all right, well, if I can just Terra, make it rain, I'll speed some of the Fluttermanes, and then I can, if they're not booster, I just one-shot it immediately, and if they are booster, it doesn't matter. That probably picked up on camera, but if they are booster, you just absolutely destroy them. So I think that's a really good set. Also, Leftovers is really good with sub. You always want to run Make It Rain. You always want to run Shadow Ball. Choice Scarf or a Trick. If your Choice Scarf Trick is a really cool move, just so you can lock stuff into some moves. I can't really give specific examples because I'm pretty tired right now. But you could run Substitute as well. Substitute's really good. Even Nasty Plot. Nasty Plot on defensive teams is really good. Golden Go can. It's hard to fit onto teams, but it can fit on many different archetypes. It can fit if you want to go hyper offensive like Talonflame. Specs Golden Go is pretty good there. I more like it on balanced teams though. I think balanced teams are the way to go. Like this team, I think it fits better on balanced teams in my opinion. But like here, James Evans, I mean, his team is like pretty offensive, but it still has some semblance of balance just because of the guard chop and iron hands. Apologies for if you can hear the vacuum in the back. But yeah, I think this team overall is, or I think this mon overall is really good. You hit Fluttermane for super effective. You hit Fluttermane for super effective. You're immune to Golden Go. And you can set up on a lot of mons. And I think the Terra is really what makes Golden Go really good. Because Golden Go is one of those Pokemon where it loses to a lot of stuff, or it gets in a tricky situation versus mons like Keenambit and stuff like that. And yeah, Keenambit, Guard Chop, and like ground types. But if you just Terra Water and support it right, you can set up Nasty Plots, or you can just start hitting the opponent for damage. Even if you're not hitting the both Pokemon for super effective, as long as you're hitting one for neutral, you're going to be doing some good damage. So good damage. So Keenambit's really good there. And the last Pokemon I want to talk about is actually Keenambit. Like I mentioned earlier, Keenambit's kind of similar to Ihands in the sense where you're probably going to run Assault Vest with it. And Terra is pretty much all, you're either going to always run Terra Water or Terra Fire in my opinion, just because you want to have that good defensive type. You want to be able to eat those, have those resistances. I think they're vacuuming on this floor. All right, well, we'll see if that picks up. It probably picks up on camera. Maybe it doesn't. That's kind of cool. I don't see it peaking in my bar thing. But Terra Fire and Terra Water are really good defensive typings because that allows you versatility. Because think about it, you look at Keenambit, and Keenambit on top 8. Number one, it beats Fluttermane. Keenambit's an amazing Fluttermane check. Yeah, you're neutral to Moonblast, but I mean, look at this guy's defensive stats. You invest in some Spadef, like you go like in this. With like Careful Nature, invest in Spadef. I mean, 134, that probably goes to like 200 something, 200. You're eating Fluttermane hits. I mean, you're taking probably like 40%, 48, maybe 48% max from Specs Moonblast, and then you're OHKOing back with Iron Head. So it's really, really good. Into the meta, you're dealing with Bundle really well. You deal with Arcanine because if you are Terra Fire, then Arcanine doesn't beat you 1v1 because number one, it can't Flare but you for good damage, and it can't Wisp you at all, so you can't be burned. Okay, you deal with Chien-Pao, you pretty much deal with Dragonite. Like, if you look at this guy's team, like, obviously he has answers, but like this played right, literally Keenambit dismantles Tank's entire team. 100%, it just dismantles it if you play it right. We go on to this team right now. Keenambit doesn't fare as well, but like here's the thing, Keenambit still matches up decently into the Azu. Here's the thing, if you're weak to Fluttermane, you can just slap this guy on. This team doesn't exactly deal well with, but this team here, yet again, it dismantles that. Keenambit does well into this team here again. So you're just seeing Keenambit's like one of those Pokemon where it consistently beats a lot of the meta. I don't have specific calcs for it, but obviously Assault Vest is really good. You obviously want to be Terra Fire or Terra Water. Terra Fire specifically just so you can beat Arcanine, and just so you're specifically so you can beat Arcanine. If your opponent has Arcanine and you are Terra Fire Keenambit, that basically means that Arcanine's big useless. Because like at least if Kingdom is Terra Water and they have Arcanine, yeah, you know, you give them Defiant Boost, but then you can Will-O-Wisp them. So I guess technically you could say, all right, well, I could run Safety Goggles, but then that means you're not going to be, your defense is, your special defense into Mons like Fluttermane and Shiggy isn't going to be as good, and so you're going to be taking a lot more damage. So I think the optimal set is going to be Assault Vest. Although if your Assault Vest is already taken, you still want to use Kingdom, but I think Goggles is still really good. Goggles are black glasses, in my opinion, but I think I would lean more towards Goggles. Specifically also so it's a good Amoonguss check as well. If your team's lacking the Amoonguss check, this Mon has lots of versatility. Good defense, it can live everything. The only issue is this Mon just straight up loses to Great Tusk unless you're Terra Flying, and I really don't think you should be Terra Flying. So just know if you slap this guy onto a team that you need to have a good Great Tusk matchup, especially since Great Tusk I think is still relevant. Like, yeah, not a lot of people used it. In top 32, I mean, like the first appearance of Great Tusk is in top 16, I believe. I don't see any Great Tusk here unless I'm blind. So yeah, the first appearance is going to be at 12th and 13th place, but Great Tusk still made top 16 at a basically 700 player regional. So Great Tusk is still really relevant. So you need answers to it, but I think overall, like, Kingdom is going to be really good. So maybe I did explain this the best. I think I started off strong with Mouse and Iron Hands, and I just didn't give a good example here. But I feel like overall, these are going to be 5 Mons that you can just slap onto your team, not slap on and make it work, but at least consider in team building. To be great threats going forward. I think the Golden Go is going to be really tricky how to use. It's going to really have to fit on your team well. I think Golden Go is going to be really good, but all the other Mons you can kind of slap on and be okay with. I think Azu you can't really slap on as well, but Iron Hands, Mousehold, and Kingdom you definitely can slap on. I think Mousehold going forward is going to be absolutely insane. I actually might screw around with that Mon because I'm telling you guys, it could be snazzy. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something, because going forward, I think if you incorporate these Mons into any of your teams, I think you're going to find a lot of meta success. So honestly, like, Iron Hands, Mousehold, Azu, Golden Go, Kingdom, but it's still really good for really good Mons. Because if you bring them to like Fresno regionals, if you bring them to Milwaukee, I think you'll find success going forward, because the meta seems to be shifting to more balance oriented, and even like the hyper offensive teams that we used to see. Like, yeah, you still will see obviously, like well, Joe's running this, so of course you're still going to see some hyper offensive teams, but the metagame is shifting into a lot more balance. Even if you have the talent playing, this team is pretty hyper offensive. You still have hyper offense, but I think you're tending to see, it used to be like the last regional result was a lot more hyper offense, but now it's like, all right, we're just going to go pretty much balance, and then there's some hyper offense. So as we're shifting to a more balanced metagame, obviously, like, these balanced Pokemon like Iron Hands, Azumarill, Kingambit are going to become increasingly better, and especially Golden Go. But if we're switching to a more balanced metagame, one of the best breakers is going to be, should not be Friend Guard. It should always be Technician, but Technician Mousehold is just going to absolutely destroy the metagame. So try to incorporate these guys into your team, because I feel like going forward, they're going to be absolutely incredible. And if you guys enjoy content like this, especially if I'm down below, subscribe, because probably will be posting more stuff like this. I wanted to make an analysis on the regional results from here, but I just figured I'd make some different content, because I've been doing regional analysis results for a while, and I probably won't be posting because I'm going to be at the beach for a week, but I will probably be posting after that, start streaming shortly after, getting ready for NAIC and talking about some more regional results there. And if you guys want to see more content like this, just, yeah, smash the like button down below, subscribe. And another fun fact is, I quickly want to mention is, a lot of people run Terragosa and Mousehold just so you don't get faked out, but fake out isn't really as prevalent in the meta. Yeah, Iron Hands is going up in usage, so technically it is, but if you go Terra normal, I don't think there's a single Mon that you don't watch on the metagame. Actually, just to test this theory, I want to do this. Okay, Kingambit Bulky, this is going to be the last thing I mentioned. Kingambit Bulky Swords Dance, level 50, okay, and we are going to be Terra normal, okay. So actually, it does eat. It does eat really well. Okay, let's go Adamant. Let's go Adamant here, just to see. Okay, you know what? No. We'll just go Jolly. Okay, so even one of the bulkiest physically Pokemon in the meta, Kingambit, that resisted, gets 2-shot by Pop Bomb if it's Terra normal. And you look at Pokemon like Great Tusk, if it is full HP. Let's just do physically defensive. We're just gonna we're just gonna run full HP here. Yeah, you almost 1-shot. So if you run Adamant, that's a 1-shot on max HP Great Tusk, pretty much. So all I'm saying is, Mousehold probably is gonna be meta. Anyways, guys, I could ramble on for longer, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Maybe incorporate these monsters into your teams. and I will catch you all later. Peace.